Hello and welcome to MIP TV, and with me as always is Bob Cooke for his bi-weekly book review. And today we've got a bit of a fusion book, I think, between two ideas in the world of counselling and psychotherapy: ego and mindfulness, a new transactional analysis, and it's by Günther Mohr. So what's this about, Bob?
It's quite a relatively new book by Günther Mohr, 2016, December 2016. I just came across it. It's not an expensive book either. It's paperback. It's about 100 pages. And what I like about it is several things. One, for the beginning student, if you like, he goes through the basic concepts, ego states, pack model, functional, structural, games, things like that. And then he goes on talking about the idea of mindfulness. Now, mindfulness in its essence is staying in the here and now. Yeah. So Eric Berne, he ties it to Eric Berne, you see, because Eric Berne's, as we've discussed many times, you and me, off camera and on camera, actually, Eric Berne was probably the first CBT therapist of his time.
Yes, I'm not surprised some people, but he was really, wasn't he?
Yeah. It's a funny old sausage, really, because in his early days, of course, he was deeply into psychoanalysis, and then he gradually got disillusioned, particularly when he got thrown out of his entry into the Psychoanalytical Institute in New York, and he developed transactional analysis, a bit of a rebellious, I think, move, and he was very much trying to get a one-session cure as soon as possible, and his idea of reinforcing the adult and going from there was really what the early transactional analysis was about. So in other words, staying in the here and now. So for Eric Berne, being in the here and now, and was the name of the game for him. So Günther Mohr looks at modern day mindfulness, if you want, which is all about staying in the here and now and centering yourself in your internal phenomena and watching it go by, if you want, and tying that with Berne's idea that, real health was staying in your adult, which is the here and now.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's interesting. Berne seems to get everywhere, doesn't he? He's into CBT and a little bit of psychoanalysis, and now he kind of sneaks into the new idea of mindfulness.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is, really, Günther talks about staying in the here and now, as Berne talks about, centering yourself, and I'll talk about that in a minute, going internally, and sort of like watching your child ego states go by, being aware of your internal parent ego states and how they influence the past history, and stay in the here and now and not get charged by either of those ego states in the past or future. You just stay in the here and now and allow yourself to not quite dissipate the child ego states or desensitize the parental ego states, but the emphasis, without a doubt, is centering yourself on the here and now. And I like that concept.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? And also, it's a kind of sideswipe, isn't it? Sidestep, because you're acknowledging, you're acknowledging the parent ego states, you're acknowledging the child ego states, but you are, you're staying in the very much in the adult, which of course is always in the here and now. The adult ego state is where we are, isn't it?
That's where we are. And his last but one chapter is on centering exercises or techniques of how to stay in the here and now, because it's not easy. If I often teach people mindfulness, by the way. Not always do they find it easily, and the more, how can I put this, more fragile mentally a person is, it's often a real challenge for them to get sort of not dragged into the past or listening to the internalized parent narratives. So to actually stay in the here and now for quite an amount of time. I often teach them to do it in minutes and then go to 5 minutes, then go to 10 minutes, and to center themselves in their internal framework and allow the conflicts to just lie there and allow the parent words, if you like, to float away and to stay in the here and now, the age you are, is quite a challenge.
It is. It is. It is. It's not something that as human beings we're taught to do. It's never taught to us as children. It's never taught to. It's only when you come to, training to be a psychotherapist or a counsellor that you may come across these ideas. I mean, some may go to places like yoga and Buddhism, and I'm sure there's lots of parts of religion that has mindfulness as an addition. But it's not something that you hear a lot of, really. You don't hear a lot about it, other than when people need a bit of help, I think.
That's right. And I'm sure Günther, though he doesn't say it in the beginning, I don't think, of his book, I don't think. But I'm sure his ideas, some of his ideas, root in the Buddhist tradition. Because if you think of the Buddhist tradition, that is about staying the here now and detaching yourself from, the material sense, the past, and allowing yourself to really, really be rooted and grounded in the here and now, and detachment from earthly desires and conflicts and whatever is the name of the game of Buddhism.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think when he talks about being in the adult ego state and borrowing some of Burns' ideas and the synergy of putting them together, he's actually borrowing from the Buddhist tradition.
Yes, I mean there's a great tradition, isn't there, of psychotherapists kind of shall we say borrowing as opposed to stealing.
Very nice word.
But borrowing ideas, although Rogers did quite a lot, and Burns seems to have.
Yes.
So I think there's, as they say, there's nothing new under the sun, Bob.
Not really. I was talking to. I'll perhaps about not mention the name. However, we were talking about logotherapy. And
yes.
And of course, that was way before Byrne. And if anybody of the listeners are interested in logotherapy, he alludes to, in different language, but he alludes to adult ego state and the different conflicts of the organism without mentioning parent and child. And I'm sure, of course, Byrne, 20, 30 years later, reading Paul Verdern's idea on ego images, or Marina's idea of drama therapy, borrowed from these concepts.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go very far before you find an idea. And a classic one is, is injunctions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Injunctions, that's a very much a TA idea. But then you think, oh, hang on a second, Roger talked about introjected values.
Yes, absolutely. So we don't have to go very far. And of course, Byrne and Rogers were around the same era.
Yeah. And it was who was the guy who did schema therapy? He actually beat Rogers to the punch, really. He had a complete therapeutic package that he was using. So if you're a student of counselling and psychotherapy, it might be worth remembering that lots of things are either borrowed or adapted, and this sounds like a case within this book.
That's right. So when Günther puts together Eric Byrne's ideas about the executive adult, for example, being the here and now, and mindfulness being in the here and now, though he's putting them together in a creative way, in some ways they are borrowed from history as well.
Yes. So who's this book going to be of use to, Bob?
Very much, I think, people who are interested in ideas putting together what we just talked about, the sort of 2016 ideas of mindfulness and the ideas of 1960 of staying in the here and now. And when people go to practice, they might think about, especially people who find it hard or, being in the here and now, when, of course, I think, it's very important in terms of health that they might actually give them some mindfulness and centering techniques, which are in this book.
Yes. So the book we'll be discussing today is Ego and Mindfulness, the New Transactional Analysis. It's by Günther Mohr, the author. It's a relatively new book, 2016.
the age of 7.
published literally on the last day of 2016. And as usual, put details in the comments bar below, so you can inspect the book. As usual, Bob doesn't get paid for book reviews. He does it just to show his love of literature and to talk about how literature informs practice. So, Bob Cooke, thank you very much.
Thank you.